Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video of another annoying neighbor who turned out to be quite sneaky, but our OP figured him out and outplayed him. I think you should always be a good neighbor when possible, but in this case, our OP had no other choice. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. You don't like the sight of my trash bins in front of my house? Okay, sure. We just recently bought a house and moved in. I'm talking less than 2 months since we signed the papers. A couple days ago, we got a letter in the mail, no return address. The gist of the letter was just a piece of paper stating what we can't do with our house, no building non-permanent buildings, no trailers or RVs to be parked in the roadway, etc. Highlighted on the paper was a line stating, all trash must be put out in metal or plastic bins and must be put in the garage or behind the fence. I was worried and honestly a bit confused. We have no HOA, Homeowners Association for those who don't know, so I was wondering why we were receiving this letter when there really shouldn't be anyone enforcing it or fining us. It honestly didn't make any sense, so I decided to text my next-door neighbor to see what they made of it. Long story short, they explained that the neighbor across the street from us is a huge stickler for the rules and probably the one who printed out that paper, highlighted the section, and sent it to us without the return address so that we wouldn't know who it was. There are a few houses on our street that have their bins outside their house, so it's pretty obvious the person who sent us the letter just doesn't like looking at it through their front window. We have a home gym in our garage and didn't want to put it inside because of the space, but decided to move things around just for this compliance. SO and I agreed that the best way to comply is to push the bins in 4 feet so that it's in the garage. However, we're going to leave the garage door open all day, every day we're home, so that they still have to look at it. Can't say much now, can they? And our second story. You can eat at the hotel. A long time ago, in the late 90s, I was a young IT consultant. I was sent out of state on an assignment. The sales manager decided to make all the travel arrangements for me and my coworker. We were staying at a Holiday Inn type hotel he booked for us. When I asked about daily expenses and a rental car, the sales manager told me that the hotel had a shuttle that would take us to the work site and we could eat at the hotel restaurant. I tried to argue with him that I'd like to see the town or eat somewhere other than the hotel, but he wouldn't budge. He paid for the flights and the rooms, and we could charge our meals to the room. Anything else would be paid out of our own pockets. I was young and broke and didn't have much of a choice. I settled into the expectation that I'd have a boring week of hotel/work/hotel for 5 days. When my coworker and I arrived at the hotel, we were quite surprised to find that it wasn't at all a Holiday Inn type hotel, in spite of the fact that it had an inn in the name. It was quite fancy, and the rooms were comfortable and spacious. The hotel restaurant, though, was something my lower middle-class self had never experienced. This was a restaurant that didn't print prices on the menu. In fact, I couldn't even pronounce half the items listed. Meals were a set cost regardless of what you ordered. Breakfast was $40 per person. Lunches and dinners were $60 per person. Knowing we had no car and no way to expense anything that wasn't charged to the room, my coworker and I dutifully ate 3 meals a day in the hotel restaurant. I had 5 days of filet mignon for breakfast and various gourmet lunches and dinners, while the hotel shuttle took us to and from the workplace all week. Now, years later, I'm not even sure I remember the city I was in or the work I was doing, but I remember a week of filet mignon for breakfast and the look in the eyes of the sales manager when he saw his credit card statement. That was a great trip. I'm slightly aghast at the thought of having steak for breakfast. I don't think I'm awake enough for steak before midday. And our next story. Oh, you're demanding a raise when you can't really do your job? There's the door, Karen. So I actually have a story. I didn't think I'd actually meet a person like this, the kind where you facepalm so furiously and frequently your hand might as well be going out the back of your head. For context, I work in the family business. Without going into specifics, because it'd definitely be easy to find, we make things in a niche industry and sell those things. I manage production, while my dad manages admin and customer relations. Due to some medical issues that cropped up for myself, we found ourselves a little short-handed. It's a small business after all. Apart from immediate family, we're generally pretty reluctant to hire friends or acquaintances. Because of the circumstances, we made an exception here as my mother knew a capable admin person who was looking for a new job. For the sake of simplicity, we'll call this new hire Karen. She interviewed well, had loads of experience, on paper, and seemed pretty switched on. We thought it'd be a good fit, and after checking her references, gave her the job. Now, it's important to note a few details that were explicitly stated in the interview. It's a casual position with the opportunity for part-time in the future. In my country, casual means a bump in hourly rate, but no paid sick leave or annual leave. The inflated hourly rate is there to compensate for not having those. The pay rate was stated as X dollars, which was well above industry standard, but a little less than her previous position. The job was not at the same level as her previous position. Where I live, there's government guidelines on pay scales and there's levels for positions. This was essentially a level 2 admin position. Her previous one was level 3. She accepted these conditions in the interview and seemed keen to start right away. From the start, we started seeing issues. She was very slow to pick things up. She got confused if you gave her anything other than simple task instructions. We couldn't give her a bunch of jobs to work through as she'd start on all of them at the same time, get confused, start doing tasks for one job and documenting them in another job. Even the most basic task we assigned her, filing, was a complete mess. At some point, she must have given up and chosen a new filing method where if it's not visible, it's been filed. 6 months after the fact, we're still finding income receipts and shipping folders, invoices to be paid in receivables. You get the idea. She was also extremely rude to anyone younger than her, basically 90% of the staff. We kept getting whiffs of a sense of extreme entitlement. Anyone other than myself and my dad was obviously beneath her, to the point where she would refuse instructions from anyone other than us. Anyway, this obviously couldn't continue. We stuck it out for her trial period, witnessing a true comedy of errors on a daily basis. The final nail in the coffin happened a couple days before her trial concluded. On a Friday afternoon, she walked into my dad's office. The abridged version, which I could slightly overhear, went something like this. Please note, she'd only been working with us for a little over a month. Karen, I'd like to take 3 weeks of annual leave. Dad, what? You're casual. You don't get annual leave. Karen, shocked face, that's not what you told me in the interview. You're not paying me enough. She storms out. So on a Friday night, I was instructed to go over the pay scales and position requirements to make sure we were paying her correctly. I didn't think it'd be an issue because we were above industry standard, but I was forced to double-check, print off this information as well as average wages for the industry. She was on the right side of the bell curve, unsurprisingly. Monday rolls around and my dad had a commitment that took him out of the office, so I was instructed to sit down with Karen and figure out what the hell she was on about and eventually show her the door. I remained respectful during the encounter as I had feelings she was the kind of person to seek legal recourse and go to industry watchdogs if given half a chance. Me. So Karen, I heard you had a bit of a disagreement with Dad. Karen. Yes, you're not paying me enough if I'm casual. Me. Well, I spent most of Friday night going through government pay scale. Well, if you did, you'd know I'm not getting paid for the position I'm entitled to. We were pretty clear in the interview. No, you weren't. You said this was a part-time position. I'm a level 3 super secretary. That's not the position you interviewed for. Look, to be honest, the quality of your work doesn't really match that level anyway. We've noticed you're struggling to pick things up, and there's a fair few mistakes that are costing us quite a bit of time. Karen's now fuming. To be clear, this is the pay rate. It's a casual position. I'm sorry that both myself and Dad may not have explained it in a way that was clear to you, but this is it. If you're not happy with that, you can go. Yeah, I'm going to go. I'm done. Okay. Karen walks out. 10 seconds later, slams open the door. And another thing, you need to train your staff properly. How am I supposed to do work when you don't show me what I need to do? Okay. I'm the only one who did any work in this place. Okay. How did you expect me to do my job if you're using the main workstation all the time? Okay. Workstation is my primary desk. I'd vacate it for hours she was in, only using it if I needed to print something for production. The tasks that she needed the workstation for were primarily checking emails, which she didn't do, and booking in transport for goods, which she couldn't do without my help. Oh, the irony. Me. I'm sorry this hasn't worked out, and I motion to the door. Karen storms out in a huff. Addendum. Karen's stated secretary level, the one she believed she was entitled to, was an executive level. You know those girls and guys that manage the entire schedule for a CEO or philanthropist? We later found out that she basically set herself at that level, along with a ridiculous salary at her previous position, because it was a nonprofit that her sister was the treasurer of. Her references were all people that were involved in basically a scam to defraud money from a nonprofit. They were all promptly fired once it came to light in a fairly flat manner. They didn't do anything strictly illegal, as the salaries had to be voted on by committee, which her sister pushed through. But I really don't see any difference between her and some bigwig making a suck fund. It's just a different degree of fraud. The level of incompetence she displayed doing her job is, as I previously mentioned, still being felt. We found and still find emails with incorrect invoices sent out, glitches in our database that we struggled to untangle and financially reconcile, random bits of paperwork effing everywhere. We even found an invoice that needed to be paid stashed behind one of our printers. This was an effing utility bill that only sends out paper invoices. We didn't even know about it until we were well overdue on payment. To conclude, F you, Karen, you made more work for us than you saved with your incompetent, entitled attitude. P.S. I don't know how, but this is the second time this has happened on hiring admin staff. I don't know what it is about this position, but it seems to attract some of the worst people on the planet. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.